You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast! Two friends since first grade, now dads reliving the Disney movies we grew up on with our own kids. I'm Eddie Ferguson.
And I'm JB Wagner, and today it's Wheaties boxes. Tomorrow it's video games and action figures. The sky's the limit on today's episode as we review D2, The Mighty Ducks. But first, Eddie, how's the family doing?
We are doing fantastic. We've been getting a lot of snow up here in the north. It snowed for the past few weeks. It has pretty much snowed every day in some capacity. Usually it's just kind of like a little flurry, a little dusting, but it has been a ton. And Lewis loves the snow. And so every time he sees it, it's just like, it's snowing, it's snowing, it's snowing. And so it's all we can do not to get him to rush out to play in the snow. But the problem is he loves these rubber rain boots. They're really rain boots that my mom bought him for Christmas. And you know how 2-year-olds get obsessive about things. Mm-hmm. He refuses to take them off. And anytime like you're going to bed, we have to take these off. That's when we have the big meltdown and the screaming fit. Mm-hmm. So most of the time we're just like, we're just going to let you wear your boots. But the problem is it's constantly snowing. So every time he goes outside and comes back in, he's just, the whole house is wet and it's just kind of like soaking everything. And so what I keep finding is my socks are constantly wet because I walk around in the winter. I walk around with wool socks on because it's so cold. And it's just kind of like this unending cycle because it's like, which battle do you want to choose to fight? Like, do you want everything to be wet or do you want him like, I want to wear my boots. I want to wear my boots. I want to wear my boots. But it's beautiful outside every day. It's just picturesque because it's nice dusting of snow on the trees. It's not like too much to like it to inhibit driving or anything like that. It's just kind of like a nice winter wonderland out there.
I feel like I talked to you recently and you said there was like a thick layer of ice on everything.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of go where it first was ice and then the snow. And that's just kind of softened a little bit where you're not going to like slip or have to ice skate to anything.
That is the very reason I left the Midwest 10 years ago now. We're almost at the 10-year mark.
But you are right at that line in the country where you guys get crazy ice storms. You get the weird wintry mix where it can't decide and it fluctuates.
It is weird, but we haven't had anything where it's like, don't go driving, do not go on the roads. We haven't had that yet. There's still opportunity. Maybe even the next 2 days.
I was going to say, have you looked at the weather report for the weekend? Yeah,
it keeps fluctuating. At first it said it was going to be 6 degrees. Now it's in the low of 15s, 18s. Like they canceled school Thursday, Friday, and the roads were completely fine. It reminds me of our sophomore year or our junior year of high school when they canceled everything on, when was that? Oh, Valentine's Day. I think it was Valentine's Day. They canceled school and there was no precipitation at all.
Besides your birthday, what other bright points are there in the month of February? Because I struggle with the month of February, let's be honest.
Super Bowl. Right off the bat. It's barely into February. Super Bowl
doesn't do anything for me. I hate this. Like this year, the Super Bowl, come on.
It was fun.
I'm February. I'm so glad it's the shortest month. Because it feels like the longest
Valentine's Day. Hallmark holiday.
No, I need the sugar boost just to get me through the glooms, you know? Like, come on. If we didn't have Valentine's Day there.
Well, Eddie, there's another thing you can do to get yourself through these hard winter pandemic months, and that's going to your trusty Disney Plus for random content.
I do. You know, this is what happens in February is I find myself just like searching the archives of these streaming platforms and seeing like, what are the random things that are on here? And recently I revisited a series on Disney Plus called Inside Pixar.
Okay? I saw an ad for that. Did they give us new content?
So yes, they did. And this is really weird. I don't know why they're doing this. instead, there's like 10 episodes, and instead of releasing like a new episode each week, they released 5, waited 5 weeks, and then have just released another 5. And when I saw the first ad for this, I thought, oh, cool, Inside Pixar. You got me onto the amazing book Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull, like the whole culture of Pixar. I love like learning and reading about all of that. So I thought this was going to be a little bit more like that. And I don't know what it was. The first 5 episodes, I was a little just, okay. It didn't feel like it was Inside Pixar. And so when I heard there was 5 more episodes dropping, I thought, I don't know, should I? These, for whatever reason, felt much more what I was hoping for in a kind of Inside Pixar. Like it was a little bit more behind the scenes. And I think what I enjoyed about these is they had a couple of the non-movie people they were highlighting.
Interesting.
My 2 favorite is they followed the pastry chef for the Pixar Cafe.
Ooh.
Which was really kind of fun and interesting. But my favorite episode, oddly enough, is they followed the facilities director. And you inadvertently get like a full tour of the Pixar campus.
Wow, I am adding this to my queue literally right now.
So I don't know what it was. Like the ones that kind of focus more on those who are making the movies. And I guess I don't know. It just wasn't as compelling for me. But those 2, I thought, this is really cool. I really like that little more kind of behind the scenes look of it all. And I mean, there's other really cool ones as well. I liked the episode about the guy who creates the temp scores for all the movies. And he has just such a wonderful spirit about it. He's like, my job's so much fun because it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, everything I do gets wiped out and a new guy comes in and replaces it. And this is what he says, like right at the very
funny way to put that.
And he's just like, he totally embraces it. So he's like, I get to have fun and experiment with things. And I'm just trying to infuse, just kind of help inspire people as they do the animation. But I know at the end of the day, everything I do gets thrown in the trash bin and somebody else replaces it.
Yep.
And so it's so cool. It's just a really cool, these new episodes I really connected with.
Okay, I'm excited about that. I think I watched the first 4 episodes of it, including the writer for the movie Soul, which if you want to go back and listen to Eddie and us fight, you should go back and listen to an episode.
Hear how wrong JB is.
I forget which episode that was that we talked.
I don't remember.
We don't even remember what the movie was that we talked about. We spent like 10 minutes on the movie and 20 minutes on Soul. So just go back in the notes and see if you can find whichever episode it was. Anyways, no, I liked that. A series that we watched, another random series that my wife and I watched was this Marvel 616. Right now, for the life of me, I can't remember what 616 actually stands for. But there was some, there's a lot of random stories in here. The 2 that we watched was one about Japanese Spider-Man, where they basically gave the Spider-Man character to these people in Japan, and it became a cultural phenomenon overseas. It was very interesting, very strange, kind of not the normal thing. And then the second one was also about women and minorities in Marvel and their rise from not being a part of it at all to now where they're creating these brand new characters that they've never done before.
Yeah.
So a couple off the beaten path content that's inside of this Marvel 616 series. There's not the normal stories. So if you want something a little bit off the beaten path, that was something that we came across and watched through. Other than the normal WandaVision, of course, every Friday night WandaVision. So,
which that show just keeps getting better and better and better and better. I love how they have been that slow reveal. Like it's so good every week.
It leaves me wanting more every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it kind of makes me mad, but overall, I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm in for the next week. I guess that's what normal TV used to be like.
Right.
Not binge watching.
Which is fascinating in that it is all based off of old TV sitcoms, right? The Halloween episode was just so masterful. The 90s flair to it.
I need to go back. I need to go back and watch the. Every time after I watch the episode, then the next day I try to go back and watch the Easter eggs. Like people make almost as long of an episode just about the Easter eggs in it, and I always find so many things in it that I was like, oh wow, yeah, that was referencing this show. That was referencing this. That's a hint to the next thing. It's awesome. I'm in. I'm totally in. Another thing I'm totally in on is today's episode, the movie we are really here to watch, to talk about, and it's a classic
D2.
film. It's D2. Eddie gave it away. Mighty Ducks 2.
I'm so excited.
Eddie's so excited. So Eddie, cue us in.
Cue the Disney sound effect.
Okay, IMDb for this film is: can Gordon's team with the Junior Goodwill Games in California... Oh, I messed it up. I'm sorry. Let me start over. I missed a keyword in here.
Win.
Okay, yes. Okay, IMDb description. Can Gordon's team win the Junior Goodwill Games in California in spite of all the setbacks? That's it. It's a giant question.
And it's so inaccurate. So inaccurate.
It tells you nothing about the story. It's so bad. This is I think, Eddie, as hyped as we are, this is the worst IMDb description of all. If you are,
that's what I feel.
It's just bad. It's a question. It gives you have to have complete context from the previous film.
Why do I need to know that the Junior Goodwill Games are in California? In California. Why do I need to know that?
And in spite of all the setbacks, but nothing about... we could literally rewrite this right now, and you forget there should be an Olympic feel to this. The triumphing over the evil, mean Iceland team.
The Ducks fly again as they skate for freedom and victory against the
European powers.
Oppressive European powers of Iceland.
Oh, Eddie, we'll get to it a little bit. It's not something I want to go talk in right now, but sometime I want to just talk about all the article headlines that are in this film. They're incredible.
Yes.
So Eddie, where would you like to start to talk about Mighty Ducks 2? You've been dying to talk about this.
We always like to start with just kind of a little bit more of the nostalgia. Did you watch this movie growing up and everything? This was one of the most frequently watched movies in our house. And I have to say, usually when we talk trilogies, right? And Mighty Ducks is now a trilogy. We're not counting the TV show. The middle one is usually the weaker one, is usually what people say about trilogies, is that the second film in the trilogy is kind of the weaker one. I would say in the Mighty Ducks series, the middle one is actually the best out of all of them. It's my personal opinion.
So D3 was really the movie that our house we watched the most of anything. And I think we actually had a book version of it. I think I read the book version of this alongside of it, which is weird. Like took the movie and then they adapted it for a book as well that I got from the library. Anyways, so this film, I don't know that I would say it's the best one. I don't know that I don't know that I agree with you on that one. The first one obviously has the magic of the brand new story and you're meeting all the characters and stuff. I feel like this I enjoyed this film. I love Kenan Thompson. I forgot that he was in this coming into ad. You had the street skating. Maybe I'm talking myself into this. You got the street hockey in the middle of there. You're meeting the bash, but you know what? Maybe I am talking myself into this. Maybe I'm getting closer. Maybe you're gonna have to work me the rest of the way there.
And so you've got that Olympic feel, right?
Well, there you go. That's that right there. That's like if this was set in Chicago, it already gets big points. If it's world domination, if it's Olympics,
Right.
Eddie's all in.
I love the Olympics every year that it comes around, winter and summer. Like to overlay that on top of the gold that was already the Mighty Ducks, and then you throw that, then they add just enough fun new characters into all of this.
Yeah.
With Kenan Thompson probably being my favorite of all of them, but then also the where they kind of pull in the different hockey players from all across the United States. A little stereotypical, but that's okay. It just kind of makes it just makes it fun. I don't know. They brought back all of the characters that you really liked from the first movie. And then you totally forget the ones that they didn't bring back. My favorite is the swap of the kind of the old mentor guy, that if you don't stop and think about it, you don't realize that they actually did swap him.
Did the original guy die?
I don't know why they did the swap. I just love that.
And Hans.
When he gets off the bus and he picks him up and he's like, oh, I thought, and I can't even remember the difference between the two.
Jans and Hans. I thought it was him at first. And then he had to literally say it out loud. Oh, yeah.
He went home to the old country.
That old strudel.
My mother always loved him more, and then boom, you're off to the races and you totally forget that it's a different guy.
Okay, we're tracking. Maybe by the end of this, you'll rope me all in.
I also think Gordon Bombay's character arc is more fun in this one. Like, it's a little more believable, but you also get some good cheesiness into it all. That's a lot of fun.
Okay, I think we've narrowed down to the piece of this that I think where we differ. The first film, because he's a fast driving, mad at the world, drunk, like he has a DUI for driving while under the influence. Like, he's completely does not want to be doing this at all. And he has a very strong pull to bring all the way back to the point where he is literally like, the kids love him and he's going off to see his dreams. That's a big thing. This felt more like got distracted by the glamour and the lights of LA. Yeah, you're probably right. I probably do need to spend more time with the kids, and then goes gets the duck and stuff like that. He's not really. I'm not even sure who the main character of this film is. There's so many people that have their own little many things happening in here.
Team USA is the main
Team
character.
USA. That's the other shift of it, where it was on him. Now it's on these kids, but each of the kids have their own little things happening.
But see,
even the fight between him, and I think I was also mad the fact that he just shows up late to that game for no explanation. Did it really take you that long to find a duck call? Seriously?
Yeah, but then you get the great sequence of the tutor becoming the coach.
That's
stepping up. What are we waiting for? The ice to freeze?
Oh, man. That's what I was going.
We needed that line.
I'm so mad at myself. I put it right up at the top because I was going to use that as a segue to this thing. But Eddie, what are we waiting for? Let's talk about, and I forgot to do it. So we'll have to save that for another day.
No, see, I feel like the arc for Gordon is so one, this movie reminds me of how much I miss the opening title sequences of movies, and where they take their time and bring us into the movie a little bit. Right now we just start. Yeah, we get the little bit of the past, and it's like, oh, here's what's happening in the minor league. Oh, he gets an injury, and it sets up the angst of this movie, which is he wants to make a name for himself in the NHL, right? Like, he wants to be this big, famous hockey player. And that gets spoiled. And
one penny loafer at a time.
One penny loafer at a time. And that's been his desire. That's kind of his want, right, through the whole movie. And he thinks it's accomplished by just being the coach again, and he's going to find fulfillment in the relationships there. But he gets distracted by wanting to become a famous penny loafer salesman. Which that doesn't make sense to me at all. I just laugh at. And then he comes back around and goes, no, what's really matters in life is...
I felt like it was messy, and I never saw him get like really upset until the guy like comes after him and hits him on the leg or whatever. It's like, okay, now we're locked in. I think that's why this movie didn't have quite the same appeal to me. But it's hard because there's so many fun things about it. The new characters that they're bringing in, the random guy like with the lasso, and we get the second Bash brother, and the two times that they do the okay, we're going to do this, and they put the headbands on. There's still so much good. There's so many good iconic moments from this film. So, and then Keenan yelling, "I bet if that puck was a cheeseburger, you'd stop it." The knuckle puck. I forgot
knuckle puck.
I forgot Keenan is the inventor of the knuckle puck, because that comes then into D3 as well. Man.
So neither of us are hockey players, right?
No.
So I am curious, like people who are actual hockey players, when they see something like the knuckle puck, are they just like, no, stop, please. This is not the game that we love, you know? I don't know. But it's entertaining in a movie. It's a lot of fun.
We also get the sticks gloves shirt, fighting style,
for Kenny Wu.
Man, there's a lot of fun stuff in here.
The whole Hendrix hockey apparel stuff and just kind of the gimmicks of kind of pushing the hockey gear. My favorite moment in all of that is after they have the little press conference and the Hendrix bear is, walking around. My favorite little moment is they're talking to the tutor, Miss McKay, right? And the bear just kind of passes through the scene a little bit. And you can just passingly hear him say, "Hey there, little lady, you want a bear hug?" One of my favorite lines. I don't know why I love that so much, but "Hey there, little lady, want a bear hug?" And it's just passing.
So in the spirit of the Olympics, we get another European slicked back hair bad guy in this film. We get the iconic, he's not Russian, but he basically could be Russian. Same vibes we were getting from the Swedish team.
Wolf the dentist.
Wolf the dentist. Wow. Only 1 year in there, but we get him in here. So a random side plot for like 2 scenes is the Iceland trainer, athletic trainer, whatever. They're having an actual, it feels like a mutually fun time, but they never have the moment. I was missing that key moment where she's like, "I was scouting the whole time," or "I sent her into enemy territory." It felt like the moment someone called him out on it, he stopped, and then he's now with the new girl, and then the other girl's
never
like,
mentioned.
It's like there's not I wanted a little bit more of a. I'll say this, maybe it doesn't be needed, but I was expecting more of a turn of like, oh, she was really bad the whole time, or it was just like it seemed like a fine thing that just happened to be happening. Oh no, now we got to focus.
Yeah, that whole Iceland. It is. Watching it now as an adult, I'm trying to understand, like, why is Iceland picked? I guess they looked at it and went, well, we can't do Russia. That's a little too stereotypical.
A little too on the nose.
So what could be a close second, but that we could kind of do whatever we want with it and nobody would really know. Nobody knows anything about Iceland, whatever. My favorite is that the whole thing with the Iceland team, I don't know if you realize this, but there are moments, I don't speak Icelandic, so all I know is that there are moments where they talk in English, and then there's moments where he's just yelling random phrases, I'm assuming in Icelandic, right? Like there's no continuity of language for them. And the accent is just random comes and goes in that. My favorite, though, is at the very end with, like, Gunnar, after they win, and the coach kind of has his, like, "You lost this for me," and he's like, "Oh, you lost it for yourself." And then Gunnar turns around, he's like, super thick, like, "Let's go shake the hands."
In that vein, so we're talking about slick back hair. I love when everyone starts ragging him for his hair, and so they say like, "Nice haircut. Did you lose a bet?" And then Jans is like, "Who was that guy with the wet hair? Was it raining?"
Oh, they give so many. And so I think that is the defining characteristic of a good Mighty Ducks movie now, right? Is these just one-liners that they just it feels like they like a hockey sequence of the movie, right? It's not so much like here's the play-by-play of events. I feel like they really like we want to have this one liner, this one liner, this one liner, this one liner. Let's just kind of film them, and then we'll have some people skating in between, and that's our hockey sequence. You know what I mean?
A lot of good ones like Iceland is bigger, faster. They have more facial hair. Or when the Iceland guy's like, what happened to freedom of speech? Isn't this America? Like, thanks, man. Also, randomly, does Trinidad and Tobago really have a hockey team? It's like Jamaica having a bobsled team.
Right. I feel like it was just talk about stereotypical when they score the goal and they've got like the steel drums that they all start playing. You're like,
that's not happening in 2021, probably.
Really? Like, that's all that we can say about them?
Speaking of other countries and stuff like that, the articles. There's a couple that when they show like Team USA wins or whatever, couple of great ones that I saw on here.
The spinning articles, right? Like
spinning articles. Mm-hmm.
That is a big kind of a gimmick of this movie.
2 of them that I wrote down. I know there were other ones. Flying V soars over Germany. So many World II references. Also, the other one that was way more on the nose. Marx Brothers? No, the Bash Brothers. when they beat Russia. It's like, seriously. This is the Flying V soars over Germany. That's pretty good. But the other one, no. This is ridiculous.
Who is your favorite one-line character?
I mean, it's got to be Keenan. I mean, Keenan like comes in and takes the top spot, so like out of nowhere as a side character. Like he does. I mean, like we said, the cheeseburger line. There's so many things he can't. Like when he's heckling them, that's side, but really he's doing it because he really wants USA to win.
I still have a very close appreciation for Averman and Goldberg.
Yep.
And they don't disappoint, right? Like through the whole thing. One of my favorites is when Coach Bombay is like, man, haven't you guys been training in the off season? And Averman's like, I knew I forgot something. Or then the little gimmicks of Averman interviewing, like he's the sports guy on.
And then they say
ice.
cut camera, and it literally cuts camera.
But he's like, hey, I'm here with the Goldberg, the goaltender, and he's like, what's it going to take to beat these feisty Icelanders tonight? And Goldberg says, I think it will take a supreme individual effort by me, Greg Goldberg. Those little nuggets kind of spread throughout the movie. To me, that is what brings the heart and the fun to these movies. That's what I really enjoy. I could just keep going on and on. I think that these are so much fun.
Eddie, how would this movie be a little bit different in 2021?
So I've been thinking about this because when I went on to Disney Plus to watch D2, The Mighty Ducks, they now have because I just searched Mighty Ducks, right? So it brings up all of the Mighty Ducks stuff. They now have an icon, like a landing page for the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, the upcoming series that comes out next month. Isn't that crazy? And I just cringed because I don't like the trailer. Like it's like, oh,
we talked about that in a previous.
And
episode.
I think you will in 2021, like you would lose the one-liners, the kind of the gimmicky stuff. I think they try and take the storyline too seriously.
It's
and that's
too
not
meta, probably, to like, you gotta say something about culture right now instead of just, these are some kids having fun right now.
And I just saw a guy on YouTube talk about this, and he called it the death of the comedy. Like we no longer have, like it's been like a decade, this according to this guy, it's been like a decade since we've had a straight up comedy movie, just like comedy premise. And I think that's what you would lose in this movie is this movie is not a whole, it's a sum of its parts.
Yep.
Right? The storyline, and this is kind of what we got to at the very beginning. It's not like this the most riveting, compelling storyline. That's not why you're coming to watch Mighty Ducks. You're not coming to see
for
like
the team versus
Yeah, exactly. Who's the main character of this movie? You can't really say. It is the team. It's this random assortment of characters who each just kind of have their little moment, and you pull it all together, you sprinkle some heart in it, you end with Queen, and we're great. Like, it's just kind of this rousing, fun movie. And so I think in 2021, they would strip all of the individual kind of fun elements out of that and try and make it just this like weird meta story.
Yeah.
That's not what these movies ever were about.
I think they would definitely give a bigger role to Julie, the better goalkeeper. I forgot that she literally she only does one thing this entire movie. Very she does kick
kick the Icelander guys.
Move. That wasn't a hockey move. That's why she got kicked out. But kicking the Icelanders for sure was definitely a fun moment. I like that. And she like gets in and then goes immediately back.
Are you saying that starting a fight isn't a hockey move? See,
as a goalkeeper, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
See, I always think of when we were kids and your dad would take us to the minor league team here in Indianapolis.
That's all we wanted to see.
Every time he would go, you think a hockey game's going to break out at the fight tonight?
I forgot about that. That sounds like a joke my dad would make.
Yeah, that was like one of his good hockey lines. And every time we would go.
That and your eyes crossing yet. Your eyes crossing
yet?
Your eyes crossing yet? Yep. No, Julie would have a much bigger role in this. I was expecting her to get a lot more playtime in here.
Oh, sure.
I forgot. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she gets a bigger role in the next film in D3. I feel like that's a big part of it, but at the moment, I can't remember if that is true or not. But
I think you're right.
Yep. Yeah. So those are some of the things I was just thinking about. Any last things that if we left talking about D2, you would be sad that we didn't touch on?
I love the tagline for this movie. The puck stops here.
I didn't even know there was a tagline for this film.
At least on the movie posters. I think that, yes, the puck stops here is a fun one. What else?
I love the turn for Joshua Jackson for Charlie in this film, where he sacrifices himself for the team because he said he always would have made a better coach than a player, and he's drawing up crazy basketball plays that like to lift the puck over people and stuff like that. Enjoy that little turn.
I have to say the way that this movie ends and concludes itself kind of shows you how much some of the fun of the movie is taking themselves too seriously. The whole movie takes itself too seriously, yep. Right? And there's that sequence where the Delta airplane is taking off and it's like it's flying back to Minnesota, and it fades into the sky, yes. and ducks in a V take its place, and they fly back to Minnesota. And then the credit sequence
with the fire pit
singing Queen, like
"We Are the Champions." That was the first time I think I ever heard that song. Was
me too
in this film
as a kid.
It's a very iconic moment of them all around the fireplace singing that. Yep.
Well, and you end up getting both sections of the song, right? Because the kind of the rock anthem section is played during the hockey sequence, and then the slower bridge section is around the campfire. But that ending, especially the cheesy, just so over the top airplane fading into a flock of ducks, is just so classic 90s over the top cheese. Just cheesy.
My last comment is just for the Bash Brothers. There's so many good Bash Brother moments, not only from the headbands, but then one of the guys running into being thrown out of the game, jacking up the locker room, throwing, "I need to be in this game." It reminds me a lot of SNL, the Cage in the Cage. Why am I not in this movie? Which you can go check that out with Andy Samberg. And then he runs out and he starts trying to fight the guy through the plexiglass afterwards. And then you have Julie coming into the locker room. He's like banging on things, and she's like, "Me too. That's how I feel too." And just like a very calm, "I feel you." So I just wanted to say a thank you to the Bash Brothers. You definitely elevate this film. It was a match made in heaven. It took a little bit of work, but they come together and they headbanded up.
We have alluded to this previously, but we cannot end without saying the full line because it is just so good. What it is, it's a loafer, and we'll call it the Air Bombay loafer for kids who want to coach.
You think there's a lot of kids that want to coach? I think there are.
Just that whole line of, oh, yes. I don't know what to do with
Eddie,
it.
how are you gonna rank this film? How many fruit snacks are you giving it?
This is a hard one.
I forget what I gave the first one, so I can't. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess this up.
I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to give it 5. Just 5 fruit snacks. We're not going up to the 5 gummy worm level.
Not 5 gummy worms.
This is a pretty solid movie where, like, honestly, I think I could just pop this on and play it in the background at any time.
Okay, I'm writing this down because we're going to start adding these to the notes so we can better remember what's going on. Eddie,
I was thinking about that too.
5 fruit snacks. I am going to go with, 4.5.
4.5.
I've kind of alluded to why.
Yep.
There's a few things that I wish were better, but I would sit down and watch this if this came across my TV. No matter, I will be watching this again sometime later this year or next year or whatever. It's in that range of stuff. So 4.5 fruit snacks for me.
I remember when Sarah and I first got married, somehow in like course of conversation, she had said like, "Yeah, I've never seen the Mighty Ducks movies," and I was like, "What?
We have to watch this."
And we didn't have access to all of the movies; like we could only get one of them, and I chose this one. This would be like her introduction, so I actually started her off, which she was like, "Yeah, that was a little confusing because I didn't have the first one." I'm like,
Eddie,
but this is so good.
Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast. You please go subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a note. And we've got so many more films to go. This is 1994. We're 6 years into this trek from 1988 to 2005. So many more movies coming in. You can go to our website, honeywemade.com/movies to see what's coming next. In fact, next week is going to be a big one. Eddie.
This is one of the highest grossing animated films of all time, if memory serves me correct. We are looking at The Lion King.
The Lion King. So please subscribe. Don't forget to check this out. Eddie, it's been great, but I got to run. I got to go sharpen some skates.
I got to go find my duck call.
Thanks for listening.